Hi everybody, I'm Leather Rock. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to go live today, but once again, I don't seem to be able to go live anymore. So if you're watching this when I'm live watching, if you are watching this right now, you are watching my instant premiere, because that's what I'm just going to do from now on. If this computer isn't allowing me to go live, okay, I'll just, I'll find some workaround to get to do what I need to do. And you didn't hear from me for a couple of days because, I was really depressed over the whole unstrung guitar issue and trying to make other arrangements. But, of course, taking all these extra days, and I'm losing time off of work, and I'm missing being with my friends, and I'm missing the rest of the summer, so that's on my mind. And I thought I heard a doorbell when I was watching TV the other day, and turned out it was a doorbell, and it was one of my buddies who is a fellow player. And long story short, he put some strings on my Dreadnought acoustic, and he seems to have determined or decided that this new guitar is improperly strung. He thinks it's only designed for nylon strings, which I really do not like. My first guitar was a nylon string, Spanish classical. Looked kind of like this actually, but with the aforementioned nylon strings. And I never liked the sound of it. But my friend pointed out to me the cracking on the instrument and all this stuff, the warped bridge. And if that would be the only solution to playing this, I'm going to be in a quandary, because I really don't I didn't enjoy playing that nylon string guitar, and the strings feel totally different. And the only upside to that I could see, besides turning this into a playable instrument and no longer contributing to its destruction, is that maybe nylon strings would acquaint me with the feeling of coated strings. I've been researching a lot about strings, especially how to make them more durable and how different kinds of strings affect the sound of your playing. And coated strings supposedly make your fingers slide more along the fretboard, which may or may not be a desirable thing. I think when you're trying to build calluses, one of the things that I find concerning is I don't want to slice off my nice rough calluses. Right now, they feel like they're definitely a defensive weapon. If somebody was to try to harm me, I could scratch their eyes out, And I want to maintain my calluses. But anyway, the person who told me this is not necessarily the most reliable resource, if only because of his drinking problem and his attitude toward other people and other players. And whenever somebody starts off with an attitude that they're better than other people, that really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I don't care if you're Jimmy Page. You don't need to treat other people like they're less than. And I see so many arrogant, middle-aged or younger, or maybe older people that just, their contempt for their fellow humans really is obvious. And I could see contempt for individual people who've done you wrong, but for general people, I don't see it's a positive thing. I don't think it's helpful, and it certainly doesn't make any of us attractive if we choose to do so. So, all right, I'm going to put this back up here. So, because he put some more strings on my Dreadnought, I now have a fully functioning guitar once again. So, when he rang the doorbell, though, I was definitely not dressed for prime time. And I was not anything to look at, because I was only wearing underwear, my hair is tied up, I wasn't dressed to be camera ready or anything like that. So I threw on the bare minimum of makeup, and I threw on a pair of booty shorts instead of a skirt, and I happened to have my green thigh-high stockings on with the pot leaves, so they're really great. So I ended up, so that they wouldn't be falling down all the time, I put a garter belt on them, because they really aren't necessary to keep stockings and socks, anything like that, up. They really serve a purpose. They're not, people don't wear garter belts, I think, just to be titillating. They're very useful, honestly, and I just happen to love the aesthetic, and if I love something, I wear it. That settles it. So I put on the garter belt to hold the stockings up, and I wore them with short shorts, and I went out to play. And it was hot enough that I could wear. I'm trying to think. Did I wear? No, I did. Oh, okay. I wore a tank top that had spaghetti straps, and I yanked it up all the way to high midriff. And it was so hot and humid that I never needed to cover up. And I went out, and the first thing I did. I'm going to set this down here. First thing I did was check the Tropicana, because even though the people that I was talking to were going to be headed up toward Hard Rock, oh yeah, they were waiting for me because I thought that I misplaced my guitar strap. I didn't realize that it was still on that acoustic, because I've been switching guitars around a lot when, strings break on one and I had to put the strap on the other, and I'd forgotten that I did in fact put the strap back on my Dreadnought. So I wasted time looking for that, and I guess they went back on up the road, and and one of the guys that he was with had a Squire Stratocaster, and both my buddy and I were interested in buying it, even though my buddy wanted to go someplace to plug it in that had an amplifier to see, he wanted to hear the sound before he bought it, since with an electric you really don't know much about it. You can't get much of a sound, but whereas an acoustic you could play it and but anyway, the places that we checked, it wasn't possible, and the person I know who has amps and stuff, he was, may have been in bed by now, I don't know, so. Anyway, I decided to check Tropicana first because it was a known quantity there that I had some friends hanging out. One person sells weed there, and he attracts some kind of friendly people hanging around there, and lately he's been playing some of my favorite music of the genres that he plays. So it's really enjoyable being there. And I was there, and I hung out for about a half hour. And I'm really glad also that I went there because somebody gave me a tip that I really appreciate. That was the only one I got that whole night. So then I went up North Beach in search of my friends. And I even went past, I met some people along the way. And I actually went as far as Ocean, and I played there for a while. And I met another person who turned out was a panhandler, and I very politely tried to ascertain whether I was infringing on his turf, just because I was trying to find out if he was a beggar and was there first. I was not looking for any drama. I just wanted to be safe and maybe make a little coin. And I hadn't been up the Ocean for a while to play. It's been quite a while, because it feels kind of desolate once you get that far up there. There are still people that will go even further, because there are people that live past there, and there are events that occasionally happen on the beach. Like I heard about the full moon raves, which incidentally I haven't been to a single one this year, because they're not doing very obvious publicity. They're keeping it kind of, they used to be that they would have posters up and down the city that you could find out about it. And of course we used to have a paper called the AC Weekly that oftentimes people would take ads out in. But by making things more underground, they're making things harder for some of the coolest people who maybe, I'm not going to go out of my way to dig for obscure things to go to here in this town. When I'm dealing with maintaining this channel, I'm dealing with my health, I'm dealing with my mother, I'm dealing with navigating my changing relationships with people in my neighborhood. I'm dealing with so much stuff. And really, just the more effort I have to make, especially when I have housework and stuff to take care of on top of it, I think that's just a whole lot on my plate. So, and by the way, I'm only holding my head like this. This may not be the most attractive angle, but I want my face to get light. And since I don't have any kind of decent lighting, I took that other little lamp from this room that only seemed to whiten things up. It didn't seem to put any light on my face. I put that into the other room. You know what? Maybe I should bring the lamp in. Oh, okay. Let me see what I stepped on. Oh yes, this was a bag of guitar picks. This is a bag of my good guitar picks. These are not the picks to play. These are from bands that I've seen, including some that are big bands, and I don't mean Glenn Miller. Like King's X, that's a big band, and they're 3-piece too. But a lot of these are tribute bands. Oh, I did break a tribute band. Damn. there's a band that has some real nice guys in it, and oh, and there are, oh, I'm trying to remember what the name of them is. They don't just specialize in one band. They do a whole lot of '80s hair metal. And matter of fact, they played at the Flashback Fridays at Gold Nugget here in town on my birthday one year. And their singer ended up catching COVID and dying somewhere in the Bahamas or something. And but anyway, this is from their guitarist. So yes, you can step on a pick the wrong way and you can break them. I didn't know that. Well, you know what? Now that it's broken, now I can just use this part of the pick. No use wasting things. So when somebody I met bought me a tomato juice, and that was nice. I wish I'd had a salt packet because they really could use, especially if you originally want V8. If they only have tomato juice, they could put a lemon or lime and some salt and pepper on it at least. But hey, I'm grateful that there was no alcohol in it. And whenever you're out playing, you want to have some kind of liquids anyway. So I made my way back down the boardwalk, and eventually I did find the person that I was looking for. And by that time, and he's still grumpy because he doesn't have a guitar. And meanwhile, he's trying to get a guitar from some people that we know. And yet, instead of just asking for the cheapest absolute guitar possible, which is a polite thing to do. I mean, this is just like if somebody takes you out to dinner. You get the cheapest thing or one of the cheapest things. You don't act rude. You don't take advantage of the person who's spending money on you. Somebody offers to get you a guitar, damn it, you get a $49 cheap-ass piece of shit acoustic guitar from Amazon, which is what I got. Okay, you don't get something better that has acoustic electric capabilities and all that stuff. What? You're playing on the street and you're goddamn drunk, and you're the kind of person that instead of just standing respectably playing, you come up to people like couples and say, you want to hear a song? That is why police treat music players in the same boat that they treat panhandlers. If you're going to act in a way that is offensive to people and bothering people, nobody likes that. It's just like pushy salespeople. I don't like pushy, aggressive people. It's not, every now and then I admire it for certain reasons, but a lot of times it just is intimidating and offensive to people, and it doesn't respect people's boundaries, and it makes people sometimes make decisions just to pacify the person that's intimidating them and being pushy, and nobody likes that. You can't be your authentic self and make your authentic, fully informed, consent-driven decisions if you're being coerced and intimidated. That's just a fact, especially if there's some kind of power imbalance. And when you're out there playing, you're surrounded by all these people that, if they're tourists, you're figuring for all they have so much power because they have money that they can, if they want to, tip you, or not if they choose to. So you have to have a kind attitude, and you can't be too sarcastic or anything, even if you suspect that they're making fun of you or something. Because sometimes if you're playing is good enough, they may turn around at the last minute and come over, and you just can't tell. There's no way of knowing whether a person's coming near you because they want to throw something in the trash, because they want to put money in your hat. Oh, and I have the hat out again, by the way. And fuck that cop. So we ended up hanging out all night, and for some of the morning, I got to watch a really awesome sunrise around just past Hard Rock. The thing is, if you're between Hard Rock and Ocean, at least you don't have anything obstructing your view. But if you're in front of Hard Rock, you've got this land bridge that connects Hard Rock to the steel pier. And so you really need to go a ways to get an unbroken view of the sky. And we were hanging out very close to there because I saw not only my buddy, but some other people that we knew. And when you see friendly people, you tend to want to hang out with them. And plus, we knew that in a couple of hours, the guy with the breakfast goodies was going to show up. And we had to make our way down toward Tropicana if we wanted to get a cup of coffee. And, well, most of the things that I would get, I would bring home to my mother. But there's other things, like they have banana, which I was very, very grateful for. So we finally gradually make our way down toward Tropicana, and I noticed occasionally I thought I felt a raindrop. Now, just in case, I had the foresight to bring a nice big, clean plastic bag in case that I got caught in the rain. Because when I first went out there, and I brought an extra one because his friend had this Squire Stratocaster. Now, you guys know anything about guitars? There are Stratocasters, and then there are the Squire Stratocaster. The Squire Strat is not worth nearly as much money as a Stratocaster. They can be in upwards of thousands of dollars, and they are played by some names who we all recognize, and they have a history of having a great sound. The Squire Strat is a much lower end guitar. It's still a good guitar, but it's something you probably want to hear before you buy. But anyway, this guy has one, and if my buddy doesn't want it, I'd be willing to get it. But I don't. I want to. I don't want to say I want to lowball a person because I don't want to take advantage of somebody. But you can get them for real cheap, and if I can get it for like 75, I'm gonna get it, even though I don't have an amp. And if somebody offered me a free amp right now, I wouldn't get it because we still have some issues that the Orkin man is not doing such a great job treating. I asked him at what point I would start to see an improvement after he did what they do. He said 2 weeks, and it's been more than that. But and we're hearing too much scandalous talk from some of the neighbors and the crackheads and stuff, which I have my guess as to where the talk is coming from. It's from people that are not our friends, okay? And one person wears a badge, and that's all I'll say. And if you know, you know. So it's raining a little bit, and of course, instruments should not be exposed to the rain. So we decided to hang out underneath the gazebo in front of Tropicana. And but there's this other person who was being kind of disruptive. There's this guy, I've talked about him before, Nazir. He's this, I'm going to give you descriptives on him, and there's a reason for this. I don't want anybody to jump up my ass, say that I'm describing him in such a way because I have a problem with anybody in this group. But you need to understand the context of this. Nazir is this big, fat, middle-aged, but looks very, very young, black Muslim guy. And he's very intelligent. And when I first met him, he sells weed. And he's a non-observant Muslim in that I think he eats pork and he still drinks. Okay. So let that all sink in, because I'm painting you a picture. When I first met him, we were all hanging out in front of Tropicana. And this was also when I met some of my guitar player friends that are not people I've known for a long time here. And anyway, there's this gay guy who was also black and also fat, who liked to drink here and also liked to sleep around here. This is when there was people that were still sleeping in front of Tropicana, when there were still more benches here. So they would get into shouting matches, these two men, and Nazir would call the gay men homophobic slurs, including the F word. And normally I say all words because I'm not calling people those words, but just for sake of, and I'm not pandering to the political correct people, but I'm going to save time. So the Muslim guy's calling the gay guy, well, I'll say the words. Muslim guy's calling the gay guy faggot. The gay guy's calling the Muslim guy's insulting him about his religion and stuff. And the thing is, I'm thinking, well, why is it there's only one group, which is a religion, that if you insult them, they threaten to kill you, and sometimes they do. And yet, you can't insult anybody else. But then now, I notice they're considering other people protected classes, and people in the LGBTQ community are all seemingly especially protected now. So if you use any kind of those slurs right away, you're insulting a protected group. But so you got two protected groups insulting each other. It's really getting awkward. Then the drunk gay guy starts throwing glass bottles toward the Muslim guy. And first of all, and I'm usually the kind of person that I'll pick up the trash that drinking people throw around, because that just attracts attention to the cops, and that's part of the reason why people get harassed, So where I'm going with this is this guy Nazir. Through the months that I've gotten to know him, I've found out that he has distinct anti-white biases and anti-European biases. He hates Trump and Trump supporters, he actively admitted to belonging to groups that targeted us, but he also has met some of my friends in Washington, D.C., so it's really complicated. And this guy also has lived in California for a number of years, so he's familiar with the cities I talk about. And we used to really enjoy talking about, like he would tell me about towns that he lived in and his life. And there is a lot to like about him, but when he starts getting into heated conversations and talking this anti-white stuff, and one time, one of the things that really bothered me, I was talking with him and Saturn Lizard's guy, he's a fellow YouTuber, and Batman. Everybody in Atlantic City knows Batman. We have a Batman, and he's a real top-notch guy. Well, they were talking about their experiences growing up, and it was my turn, and I was talking about my experience as a girl growing up in the Atlantic City public school system. In my early experiences, it involved a lot of racist harassment. I was beat up in school. A lot of things happened, and I have no reason to believe it wasn't racially motivated. And when I had to take kids to juvenile court when I was in high school, none of those were white-on-white crime. I'm telling you what my experience is. And a person lived what they lived. If a black person who is a famous rapper can sing about his experiences and the suffering that he went through and documenting it and giving other people a window on his world, why can't anybody else do the same? You think I'm going to restrict the subject matter of the songs that I am going to be writing and that I've already written? Come on, forget about it. If a person can't tell their truth, it's bad enough you can't express yourself fully on here or on Facebook, even talking autobiographical things and having posts taken down because it's violating community standards. You know, when you can't call in a fire setter an arsonist and you can't say he needs his ass whooped without being told you're violating community standards because you're advocating for violence to be perpetrated on a violent, crazy person. Oh, you can't call people crazy because there's probably going to be a group that takes offense at that. You know, come on, political correctness wastes time. So getting back to my story with Nazir. Oh, and Nazir knows when I'm out with my guitar, it is for what? I'm not posing for a holy picture. I want to make coin, okay? And my day wasn't over, even though the night is turning into day, and we're waiting for the breakfast guy. So Nazir comes up to me and he says for me to please stop making this music because it's getting on his nerves. And I'm thinking, why should I care about his convenience? This is my livelihood. I would never come up to somebody who's out there selling drugs or selling your incense oils or whatever. This is your livelihood. Or even if you were dancing to your rap music and you had your big bucket out there, and I mean big buckets. You know, late at night, after I guess the 4 to 12 asshole cop shift is over, people come out and they play with their amplified instruments in big old buckets, and you still have dancing going on there and stuff going on in the boardwalk. People are making money with their arts. And I am selling drugs, I'm sure. And I would never purport to interrupt with anybody. The only people who I interrupt are when somebody's obviously panhandling. When I've been standing, playing someplace, and I find out there's somebody loitering at the entrance to a casino to catch people as they come out, or they're coming in with, do you have $1? Do you have a cigarette? And I say, excuse me, first of all, nobody likes that around here. Second of all, when you see that there's somebody that's playing music or doing something, and you're real close to them, you're basically picking off money before they get a chance to. It's not fair. Already I've heard from so many of my acquaintances who do panhandle. I'm talking people who use needle drugs, people who smoke crack, people who tell me how much money they're making as a beggar. And they are actively trying to convince me to stop this guitar shit and actually just go asking for money. I have friends that are trying to convince me to write out a sign and stand out there, and I can't do it. And this is not that I'm judgmental against people. And okay, yes, I throw around the word bum. Apparently that is considered offensive in some circles, and the thing is, I have been raised with that word. My mother even sang a song for me called Bum in the Park, that I ended up singing it in San Francisco, in the park across from Civic Center, to a bunch of homeless people. And I have embraced that word for myself when I've been homeless, and even when I hang out with homeless people. And it does not mean that I think my destiny is to be on the street, even though I don't know if maybe I will have to spend some more street time before I finally get it together. I honestly don't know. I'm not the amazing Kreskin, and I'm not Miss Cleo. And of course, Miss Cleo, I think she may still be in jail for scamming people. And there are people that have much more psychic sensibility than I do. But that said, I do believe in being prepared. And I do believe in downsizing and trying to do things just in case shit hits the fan. I'd be stupid not to protect myself if something happens. You know, I have to think about that. So anyway, this guy's trying to tell me to stop playing, and I said, dude, I wouldn't interfere with your livelihood, so why should I let you interfere with mine? So I kept on playing. But then the raindrops started happening more and more, and my guitar started getting more and more wet, and I don't think guitar strings like to get rusted, and I don't think wood likes to get wet, even though you slap some oil on that, and that kind of helps it to be resistant to water effects. But I never did make any money beyond the tip that I was given at the start of my night. And again, if I had started at Tropicana to hang out with my friends and smoke a bunch of really good weed, oh, that crowd is a blunt crowd, by the way. And I had a little sublime little experience. I know I'm backtracking to earlier today. I noticed this lady. She had a pink. Her hair was either, I'm guessing it was a wig or a weave or something. She told me it was, but she looked really pretty, really glamorous, and she had false eyelashes on, and she was dressed kind of club chic. You know, she wasn't wearing a lot of clothes, and she had a cute little body, and she was a pretty lady. And I thought of giving a compliment, but so many times I feel afraid to approach people because I'm afraid I'm going to be taken the wrong way. Some people can't take compliments well, and you don't know what they might be on, and sometimes if they're drunk, they're happy drunks and they're all happy about it and stuff. And other times, like if it's a fellow female, she might be offensive because maybe she's uber straight and she thinks I'm making a pass at her. Or maybe, I don't know, just some people get on the defensive, or they think that you're being sarcastic and you think that you're actually making fun of them, which I don't understand why they would feel that way. I had an early childhood experience where there is a lady, she was a family friend, and she wore a big caftan. And I loved it because it had a beautiful color, and it was in the late 60s or early 70s when caftans were a thing. You know, think of B. Arthur when she starred in Maude, if any of you remember that. So anyway, my mother's friend, she got angry with me because she thought that I really noticed a hole in it or a spot in it, which I honestly didn't notice, and to this day I don't remember it. And I didn't have vision problems when I was a little girl. But she really didn't take my compliment well, and so a lot of times I end up thinking before I speak. Even though there's other times when I let my emotions get the best of me and I just go out and say things. And I know I need to stop doing that because, first of all, I don't want to cause it to allow people to not take me seriously when I really am upset, even though people's feelings are valid and you need to be able to vent sometimes. But yeah, I was hanging out with these people that I was smoking blunts with, and one of them turned out he was the brother of the girl, the skinny girl with the pink hair. And he said that I should go and talk to her, and she was standing way over in the edge of the gazebo. The railing extends some, almost touching the sand dunes. And there's an area where the people that sleep underneath there, sometimes they can climb underneath there, and that's also where you can take a smoke break, or you can have a private conversation, or check your cell phones. And sometimes people that want to shoot up or smoke crack, they do that there too. And I think she was smoking some crack. But anyway, I came up to her and I told her that I was told that I should come up to her. And I said that I'd seen her around and I thought that she was really beautiful and I loved her style. And I hope she wasn't offended. And then, of course, she was very happy and she poured out her life story to me. And it turned out she used to be obese, and she had kids, and she discovered drugs late in life. Most of us discover drugs in our teen years, but she didn't until she was 30. And she said that that's how she got her cute little body. But that said, she appreciated the kind words, and I guess she wasn't treated very well by a lot of females in her life, which is sad. And that's another thing that I want to talk about, is when people can't be kind to each other and they act jealous, so they have to tear each other down instead of being supportive with each other. And I see that with men, and I see that with women, and it is never comforting to see, and I don't understand when I see people treating each other like that. It costs nothing to hold your tongue and not be critical. It costs nothing to think about a person's feelings, and if they're trying to get up the courage to something, you want to bolster people up. And if you encounter people that express unique thoughts that shows that they actually think for themselves, I think it's good not to squelch that, unless, of course, the thought they're expressing is so antisocial that it's disgusting. And I'm certainly not going to give any examples to give anybody any ideas. But if a person's just expressing that they like a different kind of fashion or a different kind of music or a different kind of political ideology, or they're something about them doesn't fit to traditional expectations of gender or political party or whatever, you should at least let them express themselves. And I think people should celebrate each other's individuality and respect each other more. As long as you're not facilitating people who are actively trying to abuse other people and stuff, then yes, I think it never hurts to try to be a moral thing. Which leads me to another thing I want to talk about. One of my other crackhead friends, he's a buddy who, he was scrounging roaches for me, and then he was selling them to me, and sometimes leaving tobacco in them and stuff. And I had to explain to him how sensitive I was to tobacco, and it really, and plus he's selling to me things that I'm finding on my own. And he would score clothes, finding clothes, the same free clothes that everybody knows how to find. And then he would be selling things to me. And things I can find my own free clothes, okay? But I will show you something free that I did buy. Oh, no, it's not here. Anyway, well, the other day, he never did fix the wheel on my broken cart, and I ended up finding another cart that was broken in a different way, but at least had 4 wheels. So he presents me with a pile of 4 broken screen tablets. Like computer tablets. And he asked me, he says, you can have anything you want. I says, first of all, I thought he was trying to sell them. I says, dude, those are tablets. Those belong to somebody. What if somebody lost it and it has pictures of their pets, their wife, their husband, whatever? That belonged to somebody. He says, they probably threw it out. It's broken, whatever. I said, what? Because it looks broken? The tablet of mine that I lost, it had a fucked up screen on it. I set it down for 5 minutes and it was gone. And I'm still grieving for that. All those videos, 128 gigabytes worth of videos and pictures of my dead cats, footage, many of which I never got to post, things I never got to share on YouTube, I never got to put in Facebook, never got to share with anybody. And it's gone. And so these tablets, I don't know what circumstances they're here. I don't know that each one of these belongs to somebody that misses the pictures that's on them, and you would offer that to me. If I would take that knowing the pain of having lost data before, no. There is morally wrong things in this world, and that would have been a despicable contradiction of my morals and a laughing to my own suffering that I'm still enduring because I don't have my Amazon Fire tablet with all this YouTube stuff that is out there that I still would offer $100 to. I think it would be better to charge those things up. If they're not password protected, look at the pictures and try to get them to the people that they belong to. That would be the right thing to do. The morals, the lack of morals of some people, and he said he would just give them to me. I said, that's not the point. I could not get him to understand the morality behind it. No, and I don't want to say that this is a crackhead survival thing, because I have known users of hard drugs that never, to my knowledge, resorted to any kind of fraud or crime to survive. I know that you need to find a way to get your drugs, but you don't need to take advantage of people to do it. And there's some things that are really seriously morally wrong. Just because you don't know the person that you're victimizing doesn't mean that what you did was okay. These people that are doing all the shoplifting and things, somebody has to pay for this. It's not okay. What if the person whose inventory that was, it wasn't insured? What if they had to eat that? What if that was the difference between the people that run the store making the rent where they live? The homeless community is growing and growing and growing, and it's not just the mentally ill people and the drug users. It's also the people that they're only one paycheck away from homelessness and things happen. It's a growing thing that's happening. And when people do shyster moves that victimize other people, that puts even more people at risk. And furthermore, when the people that are doing this kind of thing are homeless people, it makes the rest of the people in the homeless community look bad. So you guys got to stop it. And I think I have plenty of authority to speak about this, because I was in the homeless community before. And I've tried a lot of those funny drugs too. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole now, but you know what? It ain't my first day at the rodeo here. Oh, that said, I hope you can hear me with the fan on low. I need to have fan on. I want you to hear me, and but you know what? I'll turn it off for a bit because you know what I want to do now. I want to smoke some weed. This is the last of the weed that I scrounged. And I haven't finished my story, by the way, but I really want to smoke this. Oh, what do you think of my hair? Uh, I'm kind of glad 9/11 is happening before I take care of any more guitar stuff, because it'll at least give me some time before I feel like I need to put the color in my hair again. I really don't want everybody in Zuckle to see me like this. Because already I'm getting some suggestions that I should just go back to blonde, and people saying I'm back to natural, but my natural hair color is not this white. My natural hair color is very much redder, obviously, and yet it's not as bright and dark of that red as it was when I was like second grade. That was when I had the bitchin' Irish style red hair, which I hated at the time. But I need to go back and finish where I left off with it started raining on the boardwalk, and I'm continuing to play even though Nazir doesn't want me to play anymore. I'm thinking, really, what right does anybody have to interfere with anybody's livelihood? It would be like me going to the crack hookers or the guys selling the weed, or the guys selling heroin, or the guys selling tickets, whatever they are. I mean, do they look like tickets? Will it get you in to see Aerosmith? Will it get you in to see the Grateful Dead? You know what? If you take tickets and you die of a fentanyl thing, maybe it will get you to see Jerry Garcia. Oh, I was talking to some people I met on the boardwalk about my experiences in San Francisco and what it was like on my one time on tour with the Dead, and different times I was in San Francisco hanging out with Deadheads, and fun times I had with my Deadhead friends, and reading tarot cards to support myself on tour. And I would like to get that same deck I had with the Grateful Dead bears that you gotta color in yourself. They're business card size, and they are really awesome. It's my stockings. Oh, my shoes. I thought for sure during the time I was walking around in the boardwalk Saturday night, I thought for sure my shoes would break. This one doesn't look too bad. I mean, they don't look good, okay? But this one is a duck quacker. It's, excuse me, I'm not trying to be rude. It's, could be glued in place, or it could be, duct taped or something. I need shoes that feel like slippers that I could slip on and off. Because sometimes I'm so tired when I get home that I lay down, fully clothed, with makeup on. I had to actually go in a casino and wash my stomach in the back of my guitar. I'll tell you why. I had people watch my cart. I went in with my guitar. And usually I have no problem having the guitar in the stall, but this time, because I had booty shorts on and I had my money bag that's attached to my belt, I had it safety pinned to my shorts so it wouldn't be swinging down and hitting my legs. It's part of my germaphobe thing. Anyway, because of that, I couldn't keep the guitar strapped to me, so I had to actually hang it on the purse loop. Okay. And I never thought I'd be talking about the logistics of using a public bathroom on YouTube, but here it goes. Oh, and no security messed with me because I was not, didn't need to be in there for any long time or something. I hate it when they get up our business. But I heard it's because of so many people overdosing. That's why they kind of time people when they go in. So if you didn't know that, yes, you go to use public bathrooms in the casinos here in Atlantic City, security will time you. And if there's anything that's particularly outstanding and memorable about you, such as lots of luggage, or you look eccentric in any way, or if you look disheveled in any way, or if you're carrying a musical instrument, and also if there are guards that are stationed near the entrance so they see the boardwalk activity, you will be judged by the company you keep. I still never forget the time last month. It was an early Saturday afternoon. I was up in the neighborhood because I was at some of the hangouts from Saturday morning. And I guess maybe this guard recognized me as somebody that was hunting roaches in the front, because as I was approaching the casino entrance, he was letting me know that that was the casino. As if I didn't know this, as if I couldn't read the signs, as if I wasn't a local, as if, hello, I wasn't born and raised here, as if I didn't witness or at least I remember the ribbon cutting when Resorts, our first casino, was opened up, and Stephen E.D. Gourmet rolled the first dice at a craps game when Resorts opened. We have the newspaper clippings from this. I don't need some guard who, I don't remember his face, I don't remember if he was older or if he was younger, but people make assumptions when I really wish they knew who they were talking to when I had encounters with them sometimes. You see, but part of the problem is that life does go on and everybody's getting older, and a lot of the people who used to know me and my father back when we worked at the convention hall, which is now called Boardwalk Hall, a lot of those people have passed away. Though, occasionally I'll be on the boardwalk and somebody will come up to me and say, hey, I remember your dad. I remember when you used to work security. And I love those old stories. Especially when people talk about my dad, it keeps people's memories alive, because I miss my father. And plus, it would be really nice if my father was still alive. Then I would have backup whenever I would get jacked up by cops. My father would march down to City Hall with me, and he'd say, look, leave my little girl alone. And he would do that. He had respect in the community. My father was active on many boards, any kind of charities involving feeding hungry people. He was the kind of person that amassed volunteers to go do food and clothing drives. When the unemployed steel workers of Braddock, Pennsylvania, you see there the story if you guys didn't know it. Back in 1962, which is before I was born, so don't be thinking I'm old or something. Not that that's old. But I'm just saying, back in 62, we had a big nor'easter here. And there was beach erosion, there was all kinds of things, power outages, probably drownings and floodings and all kinds of the whole shebang. And people from Braddock, Pennsylvania, or among some people that came here to volunteer to clean us out. And my father must have remembered that, because he was a Korea War veteran, and he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And veterans, a lot of times, they would travel, because when you're a veteran, you have certain mercantile licenses and vendor's licenses that you can get that civilians can't get. So they could do certain kind of work here in the city. And that's what, I guess, first drove his attention here. Plus, we had the Atlantic City racetrack, and my father had dreams of being a jockey. My dad loved horses. I have early memories of my father taking me to the racetrack and showing me the horses. I don't remember any gambling. I don't remember any drinking. I remember him showing me the horses and the veterinarians bandaging their legs and stuff. I wish I remembered petting them or getting to sit on them or something. That would have been a thrill. One of my things I want to do, one of my goals is I would like to try horseback riding. I think that would be awesome. And I'd like to get on mechanical bulls again, because I rode one when I was like 11 or 12, and I did not get thrown off. But the thing is, they have plenty of chances to do it when they have everybody is drunk, it seems, and they always get thrown off. And it's like at Wild Wild West they do that. But the thing is, I would like to try it without any witnesses, or maybe just for you guys on YouTube first, to make sure that I could do it. Because you see, I think I could do it. I have such muscles, you know, from being a dancer and stuff, even though I'm going to be talking about something else about my muscles later on, because I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So let me finish up the very last of this so I can try to complete where I'm going here without confusing you too much. Okay, so I'm on the boardwalk today, and Nazir is messing with me, saying that I gotta stop playing because I'm getting on his nerves. But I have a right to make a livelihood just like he does, and he needs to just shut the fuck up, right? So I'm playing, but it's raining more and getting my guitar wet, and I'm seeing lightning in the distance. And you guys know I have a phobia about lightning. And that gazebo does not give you any protection because it's open on sides, and lightning doesn't rarely go straight down. It goes on an angle. You hear rumble, you're close enough to be struck. If you see lightning in the distance, I mean, and normally I'd be terrified and I would run straight home. But I had a quandary here. It wasn't that I was, just that we were all waiting for the guy with the food, because I could take or leave the food at this point. You know, I don't want to eat all that much anyway. I wanted to have things I could bring home to my mom, you know. As a matter of fact, I brought home, when he did show up, I brought home the coffee. I drank a bottle of water, because everybody's telling me they think I'm dehydrated and everything. So I chugged the bottle of water and I used that to put the coffee in, and I brought it straight to my mother. Right? But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's raining more and more, so we all huddled under the gazebo. And then one of my buddies has a vape pen, a weed pen. So we're sucking on that. And I'm thinking, hey, because I did, and I rarely come right out and ask, but sometimes I figure, you know, I'm going to ask. And I said, you know, we'll really make tonight, right? We've got to get to smoke some weed. So he brings out the vape pen. So it's me and him and this other guy. There's this real nice guy named Terrence. Hi, Terrence. He looks just like Gene Wilder, and he's just a sweetheart of a person. And anyway, he was one of the people that we were watching the sunrise with. We didn't actually see the sun ball. I just saw a lot of pink clouds. It was all like pebbly, wispy, pebbly clouds. It was still really nice, you know. I love getting to listen to the ocean, especially, you know, when after midnight's one thing. I complain about the noise on the boardwalk a lot, and I won't take that back. But they finally cut the noise from the kiosks that you get your Wi-Fi from, and since a lot of the stores actually finally closed, they don't have their radios blaring. And aside from when you're right in front of the casinos, there's places where it's quiet. You could hear the ocean. You could hear the birds, and then this daylight's just barely starting. You get to watch the transition, and you get to watch. Whereas you don't see a whole lot of stars, especially if there's a lot of but we have a combination of our light pollution and cloud cover. You know, never know how much it's going to be, so you don't get to see a lot of stars. But you know, you appreciate what you do see, and the ones that are the very brightest one, which I believe the North Star is one of them. You get to see that, and sometimes planets. If I'm actually actively seeking out the information, finding out what planets are the most visible, I have not been monitoring Facebook at all. I'm back on it, but I'm just talking to people one on one. I'm not making a public post, and I'm not really reading other people's stuff for the most part. It's not that I don't care, it's that when I fell off the face of this earth, they didn't seem to notice that I was gone, and they didn't even ask about me, so fuck them. That's honestly, you know, I can't. My interest, my emotional interest, I'd like to think it's limited. I only have so much love to go around, and I'm going to focus it on you guys on YouTube and my friends on the boardwalk. You know, they're the people who are actively knowing what's going on in my life and act like they care, even if it's just a hug or a hey Leather, I'm glad you're around, please stop making videos, things like that, you know, or that when people tell me that I give them a certain feeling. You know, if I make you feel safe to be who you are, then that's good. If I make you feel that we're part of a community, then yes, that's good. And again, I don't want to ever hurt anybody that doesn't deserve it, even though I definitely do have some strong opinions about some things. And there's some things that I think are going on nowadays that are just total crocks of bullshit. And you know, I care about women's rights, and I care about women. It seems to me that women are being erased. And yeah, if you know, you know. But anyway, wow, that can be met so many different ways. But anyway, getting back to the rain and the thunderstorms and stuff. So some people were expressing concern that maybe the guy with the food wasn't going to show up. But I said, you know what? At this point, it wasn't raining as heavy as it ended up raining. I said, I didn't really think he was going to not show up. But then again, I'm thinking nobody should be expected to do anything during lightning. And by this time, I thought the lightning was too close, even though I saw it. It looked like it was down either at Longport or south as Cape May. It was really, I couldn't tell how far away it was. But if you're in front of Tropicana and you're looking down beach, it was all the way down there, and the sky was getting darker and darker, and it looked like it was getting darker from the west and from the south. See, usually I'm used to weather. I mean, weather can approach from different directions depending on the wind and stuff. And sometimes there are things that are going on out in the ocean that impact things, or sometimes maybe it's a storm that's coming up from the Caribbean, or sometimes maybe things are coming from the Great Lakes. There's different reasons for things, I understand, but I knew that there was supposed to be a chance of rain and even of thunderstorms. I remember that, but for the life of me, I didn't think I'd be out in it, because I hadn't anticipated that I would get strings replaced on at least one guitar, so I'd be able to play it and get to hang out. And of course, uh, I always have the objective of having socializing when I'm out here. That's important. If I see my friends, even if I'm on my way to play, I will stop to see my friends first. Because that way, if there's no money, at least I got to hang out with my friends. Really, it's the human connection is important, especially when people was talking about, oh, the summer's over, the summer's going to a close. When it's still hot and muggy and people are still hanging out, you want to see and be seen. You want to hang out and get those hugs and talk to your friends and share information, especially the people that are not online, or the people who are online but you haven't gotten connected with. And I'm trying to get connected with more people so that we have other ways of communicating, and so that I can let them know that I'm doing this YouTube stuff, when I'm doing it, or if I have to change platforms. We need to have ways to communicate. That's really important. So the rain is getting more and the lightning's getting more. And I'm finally thinking, okay, and I'm telling the people that the guy's going to show up, and they're saying maybe we should go a couple blocks down. I said, no, I think we should stay put right where we are, because it's got the most, where we were at least had the most protection from the rain. You know, you could also go right underneath Tropicana sign too, but that's more noisy because that's where they play the Tropicana rock videos and things, and I didn't necessarily want to be bombarded by that. Plus, you don't want to be hanging out right at the entrance where people are coming and going. That's kind of like, then it's going to be like a whole bunch of hobos hanging out in front of where people come and going. Then their security could do something, and you got to figure that there's cameras around here that you have to make sure that your actions don't look bad on camera. I don't know if the cameras can show when people smoke crack at that very corner, but I don't know. You just have to assume that you're seen on camera, so watch what you're actually doing. That's my best advice for anything, really. So, but anyway, all of a sudden I saw the guy was there with the cart, so yay, right? And he came down and he said that yes, he asked if anybody was at the stage, and actually when I passed down, I didn't see anybody on it. Now behind it though, because the thing is, you can't judge by if people are on the stage, because there are people that are in back of it. There are people to the sides. There are people that are, they have these chase lounges set up that are covered with blankets that people will be curled up in. They're right on the edges, like behind where the Miss America statue is and stuff, you know. And, but I would like to think if people know that this is going on, they would be on the route. But I don't know. I saw a number of people that were asleep between Ocean and Ripley's, believe it or not, that I wondered if they were ever going to get any food or anything. But you just never know. When you see a sleeping person, you don't know anything about their individual situation. Maybe they were up for well over 24 hours and their brain just shut down. You can't assume that a person is homeless. You can't. Or you can't assume that they're not either. Just Because I know some people on the street that are men that wear three-piece suits and they look like they're ready to go to church. And in fact, they do go to church regularly. But they dress in a way, and the thing is, it must be uncomfortable in the summer heat to do it. But I think they're doing it partly to reduce their harassment by security guards and stuff. And it's a shame if you have to change who you are, and even to the point of being uncomfortable, just to take the heat off. You know, you're enjoying more physical heat to get the heat off as far as your own, whatever, safety. So, okay, everybody gets their food. I get everything packaged. I don't want to tear myself away from my friends. I really don't. Plus, there was the aforementioned pot vape pen. And the thing is, it was a kind that needed to be recharged, and he's thinking it needed to be charged. And I have a whole bunch of charging cables. I would love to, if they went my direction, they could go and we could try the cables out. So I said, look, don't forget that around 11:30, I know of a church that they let out, and they have all these this free food and coffee and stuff. And if I don't get to, me and my mom, if we don't get to drain the pot, there's otherwise all kinds of coffee available. And I told them where it was. If you know, you know. And because I was kind of getting almost delirious at this point, because I'd been up on my feet for a while and higher maybe than I realized. And plus the lightning strikes, I was hearing more rumbles and seeing more flashes. And I'm thinking, you know what? I want to hang out with my friends, but I also want to go home and at least drop all this shit off. Plus my guitar's gotten wet enough, and drop this food off for my mom. I didn't realize how tired I was. Well, I dropped off the stuff for my mom, showed her the roaches and stuff. I showed my mom the roaches and stuff. Oh, and I had also found some, or maybe somebody else found some bottles that were mostly full of beverages, juices of some kind and stuff. It's called freegating. It's just like the people that find, sometimes people deliberately lay out 5 and 6 things of, one time somebody got a whole bunch of pasta, I think it was from Carmine's or something, and I don't usually care for Italian food, very few exceptions, because I don't like cheese, and, the smell just makes me gag. Well, this was angel hair pasta in olive oil, I'm guessing, or butter, with a couple of shrimp and a whole lot of garlic. Oh, and some basil. And it was so good. OMG. It was like, wow. I ate that all up myself, man. Because usually all that cheesy stuff, I give that to my mother. But, if I find something, or if something's given, or, I don't bring her back pizza because the other person that I live with gets pizza a lot. He gets pizza from anywhere from Domino's to 7-Eleven to wherever, and even the frozen pizza that you can buy and heat in a toaster oven. And so she eats maybe 3 times as much pizza as is healthy, And plus it stinks up the whole kitchen and the whole house when you heat it up. But anyway, I didn't shower because that would have been a complicated situation, because wait a minute, I could have, because I believe the person I live with was out doing some kind of charity event, and it wasn't involving cats either, which, whatever, not my business. What people's life choices are not my business, and I just have to accept that and butt out, and and for the most part, unless it's directly affecting me and it's actually actively making my life miserable, I don't interfere. Or if I see that you're indulging in things, meanwhile you can't pay me what you owe me, yeah, that pisses me off too. But I don't want this to devolve into negativity. So I get home, right? I put whatever food in the fridge needs to be put away. I drink a little bit more water, because everybody's telling me about this dehydration bullshit. Oh, and then she says, you know what, you should eat a banana, and I did. So because everybody's saying you need potassium, you need all this stuff. Okay. Well, I fall asleep, I go to sleep, and a couple hours later, I wake up screaming in pain. Again, it is my leg cramps. You guys, I don't get it. I'm drinking more water, okay? I really am. I will force myself to take a water bottle, and I will go to my tap, and I will run it. Atlantic City has award-winning municipal drinking water. It literally, they have tests. They test it for dissolved solids. They test it for pollutants. They test it for minerals. You need to get your water from minerals. There's a reason why we have such good bread here. Some, well, depending on the brand. If you want Italian bread, Atlantic City has the only real Italian bread. You want to get it from Nick Rando's, or well, actually Nick may or may not be alive, but you want it from Rando's. No other company in Atlantic City. And if you want subs, White House Sub Shop. And if White House Subs tries to say a brand of bread other than Rando's, well, I'm telling you, Rando's is the better bread. Because the other, like there's a brand called Formica's. Theirs is too spongy. There's a difference. I didn't like the consistency of their bread nearly as much as Rando's. I love. My father took me to Rando's bakery when I was a little girl, and I saw all this floury white stuff in those trays on wheels. That these boxes, I don't know what they're called, but they have room for all these trays that you can have breads of different kinds in, and it was just, I didn't see all the inside of it. You come to the entrance and you get, my father, well, he also used to take me to Ginsberg's. If you like bagels, the best place to buy bagels, if you're talking about bakeries here in Atlantic City, Ginsberg's. They're the best if you want your rye bread, if you want your bagels, Ginsberg's. Ginsberg Bakery, nobody's sponsoring me. These people don't know I exist, okay? I'm just telling you the best bread in Atlantic City. And I believe Ginsberg supplies a lot of the Atlantic City casinos. You notice the real good food you get in the casinos? Yeah. Well, anyway, all right. Enough about that. So I load up my cart and I'm running home. And I think, you can take the boardwalk. Normally I prefer taking the boardwalk because there's more chance of running into your friends. And also, sometimes people remember that you were playing guitar there and they'll hand you money. And hey, who doesn't want that, right? But so I'm walking, and then all of a sudden I realize, wait a minute, I'm going on the boardwalk. I need to go down, like toward the Ritz, for instance, because I wanted to go be near buildings, give me more protection because I'm seeing lightning and stuff. And also, the rain is starting to get harder. Well, at the time, I saw an ambassador. Didn't know this guy, and I heard real loud. I thought he had earbuds in his ear blasting it so that, when you have music or whatever, it's so loud, you can't hear what's around you. I don't know. I didn't see it sticking out of his ear, or maybe it was and it came out, or maybe it was a cell phone in his pocket. I honestly don't know because his back was to me. I had my cart. I had my guitar strapped around me. Oh, no, wait a minute. I beg your pardon. Yeah, I did. I had my guitar strapped around me. Even though it was raining. Or no, honestly, I don't remember whether I had my guitar strapped around me or whether I'd put it in a plastic bag because the rain was starting to get harder. But either way, I almost ran into this ambassador guy. And instead of saying, excuse me, I barked at him, why don't you watch where you're going? And he yelled back at me, and it got worse than there. And I accused him of, I figured that he didn't hear me because he was wearing, a lot of people wear these noise-canceling earphones, and they make it so that you can't hear the sounds around you. And it seems to me that for the job that you're in, even if it's a boring job where you're just walking around, maybe making note of trash or something, you've got things going on. Number one, you've got a thunderstorm that's approaching. Number two, you've got this triathlon, or Ironman, rather, competition that's started. And you've already got the area roped off in half, the boardwalk. And so you need to be much more aware of your surroundings than just listening to some loud music. And so in which case you need to be aware. But then, in his defense, you don't have eyes in back of your head. And there I came barreling up behind him. And I was pissed off because, and I was stoned too. But you could say maybe that's no excuse, and I certainly didn't tell him that. But anyway, got off on the wrong foot, and then he got really aggressive, and he said that this was his area, how did he say, his district, his area, and like he could get me kicked off the boardwalk. And again, like when that redhead cop said that I could be anywhere but the boardwalk. The boardwalk, one thing you got to understand too, Atlantic City locals, the boardwalk is ours. We love the boardwalk. When you're born here, you got sand in your shoes. For some of us, the boardwalk is our favorite place. It's our safe spot. It's safer than the beach because if you can't get in the sun, you can get away from the sun. The boardwalk is where you got cameras, you got police presence when you thought the police made you safe. There was enough of public that you felt a certain kind of protection. Plus, it was public. You could find your friends. It was fun. The party was here. Long before weed was legal, the boardwalk was a safe place where you could find your friends, and then you would assemble and go to those safe spots, those pavilions near the casinos, those different places. We all had our safe spots. And the lifeguard supply stations. This New Year's Eve were legendary when I was a kid. So we partied, but the boardwalk was very special to us. So whenever anybody who has a temporary looking like they have some kind of authority, their authority is that they can give directions to where the bathroom is. They are supposed to, help tourists and things. And yes, they can call a cop because I guess they have walkie-talkies, but they have cell phones, which 99% of people seem to carry, I not being one of them. But they can call cops, which, by the way, this is the same authority that the guardian angels have. And I remember when we used to have run-ins in Hollywood, California with guardian angels. They used to go against the punk rockers. And one time, a bunch of them saw me when I was smoking a joint. And they stomped it out, and they threatened. They asked me if I had more, and I lied, and I said no, because I didn't want them taking the rest of my stuff. But they could have called the cops. That's why when a bunch of the cops, when we had an earthquake, and a bunch of punk rockers found their squat, and they took away the guardian angels, took their hats and their pool table. And I'm proud to say I knew about that, because the particular group of guardian angels, they were a gang. And they were harassing homeless people, and they were harassing punk rockers, and they were fucking with my friends. And I'm glad they were gotten for. See, when we had, a lot of times when earthquakes damage buildings and they're redlined, they're turned into squats. That's free housing for people that really need it. And generally speaking, nobody's ever died in a collapse because a big earthquake happened in a breadline building that they're squatting in. I mean, maybe it happens in other countries with worse building codes. And by the way, let's talk about, we just had an earthquake in Morocco, and at least 600, some people died, I heard. And I gotta say something about that. I feel really bad for those people, because earthquakes are no joke. Anybody that's been through them, and that's scary stuff. So I run into this guy and everything, and it was just a really bad thing. And here I am. I have a certain image, and even when I put my hair purple again, I don't want yet another person with a heart on for me, right? So I'm thinking I got to turn this around. But I'm also thinking I'm not sure who exactly was in the wrong here, because him threatening me like that, I don't think that's part of his job description. So I almost don't know who was in the right. But I decided, let me try to turn this around. So I ran back to him. I left my cart there. I ran back to him because I actually have an ulterior motive here. I wanted to find out his number. All ambassadors have on one sleeve a big number that says what they are. And I'm thinking, this guy's being an asshole to me. Oh yeah, he also looked like that guy that just got caught. They think that he did those Long Island hooker murders. He was an architect or something, a kind of an ugly guy. Well, anyway, he looks like him, sort of. Well, anyway, I ran up to him and I apologized. And I said, you know what, wait a minute. I was wrong. I would like to start over again. And I just totally kissed his ass. I said, you know what, I didn't look where I was going. I said, in my defense, I thought you were wearing noise-canceling headphones. Were totally blotting things out and everything. And he said, that's still no excuse. And I apologized. And I said, look, I want you to look at me. I don't want you to think I'm an asshole. I am afraid of the lightning. I wanted to run home. And, everybody loves the boardwalk and everything. I don't want you to think that I'm a jerk. And so he was much kinder, but still not really nice. But I still didn't get a good look at his sleeve. And I'm thinking, well, let me tell my buddies what just went down, because they need to know who's kind and who's grumpy. So I went and got my cart, ran back to the gazebo. And when I was doing that, I looked and I got to see the number on the guy's shirt, okay? And it's a number I won't forget, because it's a number that I have a personal relationship with, okay? And this is not an if you know, you know, even though because I doubt that anybody would get this reference. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, because I don't know if I'm going to do anything with the information. So I tell my buddies, I just using an elbow, that I had this run-in with this guy and blah, blah, blah. Then I went home, okay. So, and I wrote down the number, even though I don't have to. I told my mother everything. So, a couple hours later, I wake up with screaming, painful cramps. I was telling my mother, maybe you should call an ambulance. And she says, right away, drink some water. And I drank another bottled water. You guys got to know something. I'm taking your advice seriously if it makes sense to me. I haven't started popping any pills yet, but I did eat that banana. I probably doubled my water intake. You know, first of all, you got to understand when you're out in the road, out places, you can't always pee in public, especially when it gets cold and I have to start wearing pants. You know how hard it is if you have to. You say you can't get in a casino and you can't get into a place with a stall. You have to go down onto the beach or something, or you have to crawl under the boardwalk, different places. Men have it so easy because wow, you can do it. Girls, if you're just wearing a skirt, yes, it's easy. If you know, you know. But once you start having to wear underwear, like or shorts, that's so hard because they're tight and you got to unzip them and everything, and it's just not easy. And being discreet and not being seen, you got to think about people that are in condominium high rises and people in casino rooms. You got to think of so much. Because did you know that in some states, if you are accidentally seen by somebody when you're just peeing in public, you can get a sex crime charge on you? That has happened to friends of mine in Hollywood, California. Somebody in a semi-famous band who I knew, he's dead now. He was taking a piss in public, and a little girl from a family saw him, and that traumatized the girl, which I can certainly understand. If you see something that you don't want to see and you're not expecting to see, you can't unsee it. And things make impressions on young people, so I kind of get that. But he had a sex crime charge on him for the rest of his life, and I thought that was kind of unfair because who doesn't pee in public? So that's a difficult issue. But anyway, and a bunch of us in the punk rock community in Hollywood, whenever we party with this guy, we would always protect him because we knew that for him to get noticed by cops would be very disastrous, and you protect your friends. That's bottom line, especially when it's a petty thing. You know, you're not protecting somebody who's a sicko. You're protecting somebody that was just an innocent drunk that was pissing in public, and that's something that you know. I mean, okay, yeah, but anyway. So I told the guys what was up, and then anyway, yeah, the cramps thing. So I told my mother maybe she should consider calling an ambulance. Before then, she said, let's get your insurance information. And then at that point, the rational leathers started kicking in, and I said, you know what, I better check my makeup. And then I'm thinking, I never got to, I wanted to do a video where I could talk about this stuff, and I still wanted to go live, and I don't understand why I can't go live anymore. I finally decided to feel comfortable going live because I'm thinking, I can download my stuff back now, even though I'm not a YouTube Private anymore. So, but it's not letting me go live. I get this triangle and an exclamation point saying, and then an opportunity to try again, and I never do it. And the thing is, when you press try again, you have to input all that data that you originally put in there, and it's ridiculous. But at least now that I know how to upload what I just shot, and since I really liked the pictures that I shot for this, they had what you're going to see for the thumbnail. I really like it. But anyway, I decided better of it because I was thinking. I said, wait, Mom, I have this weed. Let me see if the weed will help. And then I decided to talk to a few people on Instant Messenger. And I did not initiate, on Instant Messenger, I don't initiate conversations. I respond to things people say to me. Okay, and just keep in mind that if I didn't have a device for months, then I had no way of knowing that you were trying to contact me. And I just don't feel like going to each individual person who was not watching this channel, so they don't know what went down, and feeling like I have to explain everything from the 1st of May to the present. That's just too much, and I think that that's just too much to expect of me to all these people that weren't in the know in the first place. I think it all goes under the I really don't owe an explanation, but if I say I had some hard times, let's leave it at that. So then I went back to rest/sleep, and then again when I woke up, got leg cramps. So I'm drinking water. I'm having this happen. My mother finally gave me a pain pill because at one point I begged her to give me a bunch of pills. Now this was not the rational me. This was if the rest of my life is going to mean that every day and every night I'm going to be getting cramps. I don't want to go on like this, you know, because that's not the life. That's a quality of life issue. So she gave me a pill, and you know what? I didn't even ask what it was. I think it was one of those dentist pills. That's the ibuprofen with the lowest form of opiate or something, whatever. I don't know. And no, it doesn't affect how you feel at all. And I don't know if that did anything because I don't know that painkillers help with cramps. But all I know is I'm not going to change my lifestyle that involves my being on my feet, playing music, hanging out with my friends in the wee hours, having these memories and these adventures and stuff. I'm not going to change my life for a normal life that, frankly, is not convenient for me. It would involve me having to be out in the sun, which would give me skin cancer and kill me that way. Uh, and change the color of my skin and make me all wrinkly and rubbery and all this stuff. I don't want any of those things. I don't want any of those things for myself. I want to stay as white as I am and as, you know, get rid of the wrinkles as much as I can. No, I'm worried if I have to start taking antispasmodic drugs, if that's going to mean I can never take Botox, and that would really suck because before I go back to Hollywood, I need to do some improvements. You know, Hollywood still has this obsession with people looking very, very young, and people by the time they're in their mid-30s, they are starting to do things, and very few people age normally, and I don't want to, if I can otherwise look better. You know, I still get compliments, and I appreciate that, but still, people don't, they're kind, but it's still not as low as I would like to go, if you get my drift. So yeah, and Hollywood still gives a lot of pressure. It's like they don't pressure people to embrace their natural aging, I'll tell you that. Oh, and every color seems to be embraced right now except the whitest of people. That's another thing, and you can't tell me otherwise. I know Hollywood with a perspective that most people don't because I spent like 16 years there, and I spent there in a time before things changed how they are now. But then when I came back to conduct personal business there, I saw changes. And then, of course, you'd have to be a total idiot to not see how life has changed and political pendulums have changed, and so many things have changed culturally in our landscape. And yeah, even the coast to coast dichotomy has changed in some ways. But getting back to this thing with leg cramps, I don't know if I'm going to be checking myself into a hospital in the next couple of days. And oh yeah, 9/11 last but not least. But okay, getting back to this incident, should I contact the people involved, it's CREDA, I guess, with ambassadors and run by just what happened and ask them, said, look, who was in the wrong here? Was I in the wrong, or was it onus on the other person? Because they were playing something that was very loud. And I do know that when you are out in public, just by that experience I had as a new driver, when I had loud stereo on in my car, and as a result, I wasn't aware of the ambulance behind me, and I didn't pull over, and I got yelled at, and I didn't realize, I don't know how, I still got a driver's license, not realizing that you're apparently supposed to pull over on the right and stop when the ambulance with the flashing lights is running behind you. And I was distracted because of my loud stereo, and that scared me. And I never had loud music or distraction in my car ever again. I mean, it really left that kind of impact in my life. So, even though I know you don't have eyes in the back of your head, and I don't like it when I've got my umbrella and I'm carrying it, and people get mad at me because they get poked when it's right in front of them and I can't see behind them. And it's like, why am I responsible for what's behind me? So, the same response, if that is honestly how it should be, then really, that man should have every right to be mad at me because I was behind him and he doesn't have eyes behind his head. But the first thing I noticed when this encounter happened was the loud music, which suggested to me that, you know, when a person has earphones in, but the music is still out, they can hear it, that's what it sounded like. Maybe it was a cell phone in his pocket that was blasting music. Either way, I'm convinced that was a distraction. And so when we had our words, and yes, I was scared because I was in a hurry, and I was not diplomatic. So I did kind of start it. Plus, maybe I physically hurt him. If in fact I made contact with him, which I think I did, maybe I hit his shins or something with the wheels of my cart. And again, the element of surprise. You know, like what if I made him have a heart attack or something? That would obviously have sucked. I don't wish any ill on anybody unless they absolutely deserve it. You know, but still, his threats to me were not cool. And even though he was angry because I almost ran into him, or maybe I did slightly run into him, I don't know. I don't remember if I actually physically made contact or if I almost made contact. But it was just I wish I had avoided the whole situation. But I want to talk to the supervisor and I want to ask who was right and who was wrong. And I will give his number because that was still a very creepy situation. And I don't like the idea that anybody could tell me, or anybody, that we're kicked off the boardwalk, especially if they're kicked off his area. Well, his area happens to be part of my neighborhood. His area is part of, well, first of all, the whole boardwalk is my neighborhood, okay? I feel just as comfortable down at the end that I might be at in a couple of hours as I had made my way to today. And then, of course, there's the whole Down Beach area, too, which is very beautiful. And I've shown you some of that. I've shown you some Ventnor, and I've shown you some Margate. The only thing I haven't been to in a couple of years is Longport. That's the real richest area. I don't think they have free Wi-Fi there, though. I'm just saying. And anyhow, I can't seem to live stream with the Wi-Fi. And anyhow, I can't seem to live stream on this computer anymore. And I don't know why that is. So, and I'm kind of giving up trying at this point because it's too ridiculous. Just like when I use my club in camera, it seems to not work. But I bet I could use it for video, though. I just can't do live with that. So, what's up with my life? Do I have a future of daily leg cramps? What? And also, if I take multivitamins, by the way, they make me sick to my stomach unless I eat a whole lot of food. And what if I have to eat a lot of food and it causes weight gain? That's one thing I'm not willing to do. What if I get put on a medicine that makes me get fat? I'm not willing to do that. The one big thing I fear is getting fat. I don't want it in my life. I have it in my family. Why do you think I did drugs all those years? Because I didn't want that. And you know that last lady that I met last night that I was complimenting her on how good she looked, and she told me how she got that look. It was all through crack. Now, I didn't know that you didn't eat on crack. I thought it was speed you didn't eat on. Yeah. But and one thing I can tell you is I'm not going to I would never think of going back on the drugs. Okay, I wouldn't do that. And another thing that scares me that I was never into is painkillers. That scares me, but I don't know what's up with these leg cramps, and it's really not good. And so yeah, because of that pain issue, I decided to rest and watch TV. I watched the 90-day stuff, so I never made it to play tonight. So now I have one more quandary. It is 5:45 a.m. The 9/11 memorial in Atlantic City is today. If I go to sleep right now, I'm guaranteed to miss it. I got to pay my observances. But there's the leg cramp issue. But there's the 9/11 issue. And that's another thing. People were conducting businesses on this day. I have very uncomfortable feelings about it. People who say they got to make money on this day. Well, guess what? I don't really think that's right. This is a very traumatizing day for some people. You know, I wasn't in the Twin Towers. I didn't even have a near miss. And I met somebody that had a near miss that they could have easily decided to go to New York, and if so, they would have been on one of those planes. But because they decided to take the long day to pamper themselves and stuff before they got on, and they were going to go at the last minute because of that, and they ended up falling asleep. They missed it. So that's spooky. 9/11 was a very traumatic day for me. I cannot just take care of business. Even if I said, oh, that's the next day that I could go get something taken care of. I'm going to wait till the next day. I'm not going to do it on that day. I just don't feel comfortable. I can't see going out and playing guitar on that day. I mean, I'm not promising I won't, but I just don't see it, But anyway, I think I would like to, well, you know what I can do? Maybe I could film that thing. Yeah. If I make it, I'll try to film it for you. But I'll try to have to get some rest. And I don't know what I'm going to do about these leg cramps. I just don't know. And also, what about my hair? I need to do that before I go conducting my business. And if I'm going to get any work done on my guitars, I'm not going to go looking like this. I'm going to put my color in. So that means you're probably going to get a hair color video from me real soon. So keep watching my channel, okay? And I'll make some things that are groovy and cool. And, see? I like the white, though. I like the white. All these colors and stuff. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Bye.